So bloodchife Ascension is a, let's just say, old casual card. Like, I've played this in casual and I was never really impressed by it. What usually happens is that you just become the arch enemy and everyone just gang up on you. Because it's 1 black mana. At the beginning of each end step, if an opponent lost 2 or more life this turn, you may put a quest counter on bloodchife Ascension. Damage cause loss of life. And whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, if bloodchife Ascension has 3 or more quest counters on it, you may have that player lose 2 life and you gain 2 life. So what the pod consensus basically becomes is that let's make sure that none of us 3 others without the bloodchife Ascension lose life. Let's kill the player with the bloodchife Ascension so that thing will never come alive. And there is a reason for that. The follow-up combo card Mind Crank. Whenever an opponent loses life, that player puts that many cards from that top of their library into the graveyard. So let's say they lose life for some reason, bloodchife Ascension will trigger, make them lose 2 life, which will also trigger Mind Crank, putting 2 cards from their top of library into their deck grave, which will trigger bloodchife Ascension to lose 2 more life, which will repeat the Mind Crank, and here you go, infinite, they die. Now you don't kill all of your opponents instantly when you put this together, but the moment any card is put into a graveyard and the moment anyone loses life for some reason, that player just instantly dies. So you win the game pretty fast with this. And a basic way to interact with this is to make sure that bloodchife Ascension just never comes active. So it's casual and bad. However, we actually had a game where someone did put a bloodchife Ascension into play from a mono-black Starscream deck. And that bloodchife Ascension became active really fast. At the end of the player who put bloodchife Ascension in play, it gained a quest counter, the second player made a quest counter, and the third player also made a quest counter, so it was active at the 4th player in the turn cycle's turn already. If you wanna take a look at that game, link in the description below of the video to my cEDH TV gameplay channel. And it kinda surprised me. You see, in casual bloodchife Ascension isn't that good in my opinion, but in cEDH it performed a little bit better than I thought it would. So on this channel I make card reviews and I talk about deck tech videos, but especially a lot of card reviews. And this is an older card, but I think it deserves a re-look according to how the metagame of cEDH kinda looks like today. So in cEDH, people have a tendency to actually lose their own life. We use life as a resource here. We have things like Ancient Tombs, Mana Crypt, and Gitaxian Probes. We also have Fetch Lands and Mana Vault. Now these actually doesn't trigger bloodchife Ascension because it's only 1 loss of life. You need to have a minimum of 2. So they don't, but like the more of this stuff that someone actually does on the same turn will make bloodchife Ascension trigger and become active. But there's also combat, like some of your opponents might attack another one of your opponents, because let's say they have a Ragavan. They really want to attack someone, gain that treasure and potential card draw. Like, they are greedy. cEDH players are really greedy. They will do this. And let's say you have a Cromlech, Opus, or any form of blocker that could protect your face. So they can't attack you, but they're still gonna attack someone. Someone that doesn't have a blocker just to get that Ragavan trigger, which will also feed your bloodchife Ascension. So making this thing active, not that hard in cEDH at all. And it's actually a form of stacks card, you could say. Like, it is a combo card, you win with Mind Crank and this. But it can actually sit and also interact with your opponents, so it's not a dead card on its own while it's sitting on the battlefield. A very popular combo is Underworld Breach, Lion's Diamond, and Brain Freeze. Now, if there's a bloodchife Ascension in play that's active, like, that's gonna hurt. It should be important to mention as well that you can actually get out of this lock through the Underworld Breach, because you could mill yourself a tiny bit. Like, let's say you cast Brain Freeze for 10. No, not 10, that's too... No, actually, let's go 10. Let's go 10. So you're milling 30 cards. No, actually, wait a minute, that will kill you. Never mind. Let's go a smaller amount. Let's say we're milling 5 cards. That means we're gonna lose... No, we can't actually do 5. We have to do like 6 because it's a little bit strange. But okay, actually, when I think about it, it's actually more effective than I thought it would be. But still, what you can do with Underworld Breach here is that you mill yourself a tiny bit. Just not too much, because you could accidentally kill yourself. For example, if you mill 30 cards, you put Brainstorm Storm equals 10 at yourself. You're gonna mill 30. You will take 60 damage and die. So don't do that. But you can mill a tiny bit, find interaction, and then cast interaction, try to kill the bloodchife Ascension. But if you don't find the interaction, you're gonna die. It doesn't actually stop ad nos in any form of shape or way. However, when you add nos and you go down really low, you start casting spells and rituals. If cards accidentally get into your grave, which they usually do after a post ad nos, then you could accidentally die. So it doesn't stop ad nos, but it could affect it and make the ad nos basically fizzle and fail. Now it doesn't do anything versus this combo, but few things do. It will interact with an infinite Protean Hulk combo loop. Most Hulk combos require that you're doing a form of stack effect that just goes infinite, and well, bloodchife ascension will make sure you die before you basically may reach critical mass to kill your opponents with whatever trick there is. Usually. I'm pretty sure a treasure counts as a card and it tokens goes to your graveyard. So I think the treasures that Dockside actually sacrifice will trigger bloodchife ascension. In the end, there's a lot of different combos and game plans out there that touches the graveyard in a small way. So this actually has an effect at a lot of different things out there, but not everything. But in the end, it's just one black mana. Like you can actually have this in play early in the game, as fast as turn 1. And if people just put mana crypts into play, then this will be active quite fast. But also if you have a deck that is quite orientated around attacking and dealing damage to people's face, then you're gonna put quest counters on this on your turn as well. But if we are gonna evaluate bloodchife ascension, we have to evaluate Mindcrank as well. It's bad. It literally does nothing on its own. Like bloodchife ascension is actually a card that is a stacks piece that interacts with opponents, Mindcrank doesn't. It even actually backfires against you. For example, if someone is sitting with a Underworld Breach in their hand and you have a Mindcrank in play but you don't have the bloodchife in play, then they might want to take damage so they mill cards to fuel their Underworld Breach. You don't want that to happen. So the part where you're milling your opponents could even be a bad thing. Let me rephrase that, it's usually a bad thing. Currently in cEDH, milling someone is close to giving that player card draw. Not the same, but close. There is an ultimate truth problem with this combo though, is that you have to have your bloodchife ascension in play active for it to work. If your opponents are just able to prevent bloodchife ascension from ever becoming active by making sure you're the only one taking damage, then this combo will never become active. It's also not a combo that you can just throw into play instantly, like you can ritual this into place very easily. You could have this in play as fast as turn 1. Drop a swamp, dark ritual, boom, win. Actually no, we don't have it active, so you have to pass a turn with the combo in play, and that's bad. So it's not really capable of being a turbo combo, so to say. Not the same way Fast as Oracle works, otherwise this would have been amazing. However, bloodchife ascension isn't really something people are gonna interact with. Like if you cast this turn 1 and you just pass turn, people are usually gonna ignore it. They're also gonna probably think that you're a casual player, because this is like a casual card in general, it's not really a cEDH card. Like, when I saw it in the game I was like, yeah, that isn't really gonna do much. That was my first impression. But then it became active really quickly, and then Mindcrank came down later. And we actually do play sometimes dead cards in the deck that doesn't do anything, like don't cast Mindcrank unless you have bloodchife ascension flipped. And if bloodchife ascension somehow goes to exile or graveyard or gone for good, shuffle back into your library or whatever, if it's in the library and you don't have it in your hand or play, then don't cast Mindcrank, and Mindcrank will be a very sad dead card in your hand. And that's ultimately bad for the combo. But sometimes Fast as Oracle sits in your hand and doesn't do anything either. I have actually seen players cast Fast as Oracle just because they wanna ponder. It's really fun when it happens because everyone's heart just literally stops and like it becomes very silent around the pod, and the Fast as Oracle player just says, "Don't worry guys, let the Fast as Oracle resolve, I'm just gonna ponder." And then everyone just catch their breath. But yeah, Fast as Oracle is a very bad card inside your deck if you're not winning with it. It's like a really bad card to cast if you don't have a win with it. It doesn't draw cards, it just lets you look at the top card of your library and color control a little bit. Brain Freeze isn't that amazing either. I have actually seen games where Brain Freeze is quite good on its own. Like, it's very good at interacting with top deck manipulations, like someone vamp tutors and you Brain Freeze them. That is really good. But a lot of situations it's not the best card you want to have in your hand. So having one dead card in your deck isn't that big of a deal every single time. It kind of depends on how much other things you're doing with your deck and what other combos you have and how much interaction you have. Like if you have space, if you already have enormous card draw, if you already have an enormous interactive package, then it's probably fine. Like you can have a dead card in your deck and be okay with it, usually. The problem is, what deck is actually going to play this? Ultimately, Faza's Tainted Pact is just better. But I think Bloodchife Ascension Mindcrank is for a deck that is on different color identities. For example, Orzhov, Korlov of the Ghost Council, white and black, absolutely don't recommend him at all, he's terrible, don't play that. But there are people out there that really want to make Korlov into a cEDH deck, then I highly recommend having some combos inside that deck, and here's something you could do. It actually synergizes even with the commander, so to say, because it puts counters on it whenever you gain life, and Bloodchife Ascension will actually give you life, so there's synergy here. Once again, I absolutely don't think Korlov is good, absolutely not, but I'm just making an example here for those people that wanna build Korlov as good as they possibly can. Another example is CDC, Undead Vizier as the commander. By the way, actually has a really good game plan with ad nauseum already, so it doesn't really need this, but hey, it's a mono black commander. It could include this. I hope you understand, I'm not trying to make this video to help you play bad commanders. I'm making this video to help you make your bad commander better. Ultimately, I think this is a good card. Like, this is a good card for commander. Like, it could really interact with a few combos here and there and perform a decent combo. It's not great, but it's not useless. It actually has a potential of flipping quite easily in the game, considering how the metagame of cEDH actually plays out. The question is just what commander in the world would actually include this, and it has to be some commander that is looking for a very simple 2-card combo that doesn't have access to blue. Probably not red either, because Underworld Breach is probably better than this, but hey, you could play both. Dehada, Binder of Wills is a really cool and actually good Underworld Breach commander, Planeswalker, that could include Bloodchife Ascension if it wanted to. I don't think it probably should, but it could, depending on how you wanna tweak that build. Like, there's nothing wrong with having more combos in your deck, just don't include too much. But if you know what you're doing, and you already have Breach in your deck, but you want a little bit more, maybe you want an interactive card as well, then Bloodchife Ascension could work out for you. I hope this video inspired you in any form of way, and gave you some more insight to the cEDH metagame. Thank you so much for watching, and take care guys, I'll see you in the next video.